And we live. Hey, boo.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to
Welcome.
Sip.
What you
So,
sipping on today? Because I know you
I
got something
am
juicy.
sipping on a buttery nipple. And
Woo,
so,
woo.
what I did is I actually have the hibiscus flower that I usually reserve for my kind of like my seltzers, my champagnes, my bubblies. But I put a hibiscus flower in here because I wanted to make it pretty.
Oh,
And a buttery nipple is, for those that want to know how to make a buttery nipple, it's butterscotch schnapps on the bottom, and then you take a spoon and you drizzle Bailey's on the top. However, if you don't do it slowly, you'll have a really cloudy drink. But then if you do it right, it looks like this, nice and
what?
pretty.
Call that out again. Butterscotch
A
schnapps.
buttery nipple. It's butterscotch schnapps
Mm-hmm.
and Bailey's.
Bailey's. Bailey's
Mhm.
cream, Irish cream. What is it?
Irish cream. Yep. Bailey's Irish cream, the original Irish cream.
And a hibiscus
Very
flower.
smooth. It's a very smooth drink. Very
Okay.
smooth and very pretty.
Purdy. Well, all I'm gonna
Purr.
say is if you got some hibiscus, some fresh hibiscus in there, make sure you got somebody help you take care of that when you done. A girl.
No, I'm actually by myself. All
Listen, you can
by
handle it.
myself.
Stop playing because you can
Absolutely.
handle it.
Absolutely. That's why they made the rose.
Hey, hey. Listen, I don't know how to
Hey.
spell schnapps, so y'all don't get on me if I'm spelling it wrong because I'm just putting it in here to
It's
help y'all out. Mm-hmm.
SCHNAPPS. And then,
Oh,
so
I
what?
was right. I just
Mhm.
had one P.
So the thing is that you would want your schnapps to be chilled as your Baileys.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I took my schnapps and put it in the glass first and stuck it in the freezer.
Oh, okay. Mm.
Yes.
All right then.
All
I'm
right.
being bored
So
tonight today. I just got some regular old red wine
yeah,
because I'm about sleep already. So listen,
I know you've had a long week. We are off schedule, and we apologize to our audience for being off schedule.
we
But
sorry.
we're here.
We here,
We're
and you know
here.
what? It was a good week. It was a long week, but y'all, I. So what had happened was
The weather.
the weather. So I was
The
traveling.
weather.
I was gonna be traveling Tuesday night. Um, and so we said, well, we'll do another Monday special edition. And then I literally got stuck at the airport for almost 8 hours Monday. Right. Because every time they delayed the plane, they came back and delayed it another hour and another hour and another hour. And then once we got on the actual plane, we sat there for almost 2 hours because they still wouldn't release us to go. And then they said the only way they would let us go per the pilot was if we turned around and because we had already started taxiing to the other side. So we had to turn around and go back and refuel to get a reroute. And then the guy that does the fuel had gone home. So we had to sit there and wait for him. So it was a whole soap opera thing. And listen, I, I think I still give people too much credit for being grown and mature because the level of fuckery that I saw just sitting there watching people, when I tell you these people were cutting the like going
Do
off on
they
the
not
empty.
know they can be from the airline? I don't.
Listen,
I really don't think people realize that you can be banned and have to drive
yeah,
every damn where.
yeah, cutting
Like
up,
yes, yes. They
cutting
they they
up,
do not they do not understand. You can be put on a list
girl.
and
They didn't
never
care.
fly again.
They didn't care. They was in there cutting up, waving cell phones. I don't see no weather reports for bad weather. Girl, carrying on.
The
They
weather
wrapped.
report is it could be what they don't
Yeah.
understand. It could be where you're actually going through and not
Well, that was the
actually
point.
where you're from.
No, no. The, like everybody think they're internet detective now, right? So they were literally telling us this. It wasn't here in Birmingham, but it was around Chicago. So literally people that were going where I was going to the training, some people didn't get there because they were grounded completely. So they were
And let
just
me
like,
tell you
"Ooh,
something. When the FAA decides that they're going to do a ground stop, it's nothing you
mm,
can do because the
yeah."
FAA is in control.
Girl, I didn't care as long as I got there safe and I was okay coming
These
home to get
folks
back
do
in my
not.
bed.
These fools do not understand. You will be put on a list and will literally have to drive from California to Philly
Yeah. Oh no.
because
And
you will
then
never.
look, and then last night, so I'm trying to get home last night, and I get to the airport. Once again, flight's delayed. I'm like, no problem. I got my laptop, I got my tablet, I'm good. I'll catch up on some work, watch a movie, whatever. So they told us, well, two other flights were delayed, and our flight attendants were on those flights. So we had to wait for them to get there, get across the airport from the other side, do the safety check so we could get on the plane. Folks still cutting up. I'm talking about ready to fist fight. And I'm like, are y'all serious right
They would have really been mad if the flight attendants timed out.
now? I wouldn't have been mad because guess what? I was all good. As long as I get there safe. And the reason I'm
But
talking
see,
about this
that's the
tonight,
thing. If
yeah,
anybody on the crew times out, it can
yeah,
ground that plane because if they don't have enough hours to
yeah.
fly to get to where it is you're going, like if they only have 2 hours left and it might be a 1.5 hour flight, they're not going to chance that because they could time out because
I'm with
anything can
you.
happen.
I ain't
Right.
care. Listen, my motto is I'd rather be there safe and alive than dead on arrival. So if
That
they got
part,
a delay for weather, engine failure, mechanical failure, I don't care what it is. If there's a delay, I'm gonna sit my ass somewhere still and chill and figure out some way to keep myself busy and mind my business, right? Because I'm gonna mind the business that pays me. But I'm talking about this tonight because anyway, we're doing a Q&A. We're doing another special edition of Q&A. But I always get the question, why did I name it the Sex Intimacy Power Podcast? Why is it the SIT
yes.
Podcast? And part of that is because I think that we as adults have to operate with a certain level of emotional maturity. You get what I'm saying? And the power part of that is personal power, recognizing who we are, honoring who we are, learning how to communicate, and handling handling things with a certain amount of cool. But also when challenges arise, figuring out the best way to deal with it without showing our asses all the time. And it was just so
Right.
interesting to me that on both sides, when I was the late, like grown ass people, we're not talking about teenagers, we talking about 40 and 50-year olds. The
Mm-hmm.
guy that sat next to me on the
Oh
plane,
wait,
which was
you know what? Wait, you know what? A lot of that power issue is
yeah, what?
entitlement.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Let's address it. Let's talk
That
about the
too.
elephant in the room
That
because that's
too.
the other thing. So let's talk about something that's been trending the last 2 weeks. Puffy. And a lot of people say, well, he only did that because she was young. Yeah, but he exerted a certain amount of power over her because he knew he
Yeah,
could. And
yeah.
the thing is that I've dealt with a narcissist before.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about those type of people is they know who and who not to go there with. But if they not sure, they're gonna try you at least once. But if you pop off on them, they understand you're not the one, but they actually get gone real quick after that because it's about a power thing. It's not really about looks or this or that. It's a power trip. And she was young, she was impressionable. And I
But it don't,
love you, Cassie, but baby, you can't sing either because
oh,
I heard you at a live concert.
well,
So she
I
was a
mean,
pretty
honestly, I don't
girl,
even know
but
anything
she
she
could.
sings.
There was a song that she had. She was so this is the thing. She was a YouTube artist first.
Mm.
And there was a song that she had, and damn, I can't remember this song. The song was catchy. It was a pop song. It was real, but you know what? When she tried to do it live, that shit did not sound like that shit that we heard online. No, it did not. It did not. She was a pretty face, but she does not have the chops. But anywho, I digress. But
That means it.
the other
That
thing
means it.
is that
Uh-huh.
she was young and impressionable. And the
But
thing
that's not the
is
only time that happens, though. I mean,
it's
I gotta throw
not.
that out there.
It's not. There are some people who are enamored with the money or the fame or the power. Speaking of power, they like that. And so they will compromise their self-esteem and their self-worth and their, you know, to be around that and be around
Mm-hmm.
that power, and sometimes it's money, sometimes it's fame, and sometimes it's just being close to the flame, if that makes sense.
I mean, I agree with all of that. And sometimes it is immaturity, and sometimes it's because a person genuinely thinks they love a person, right? Or that they are loved by a person. It's not always a power dynamic based on money or fame or celebrity, right? We see narcissism. If it's true narcissism, we see abuse, we see manipulation and control and domination across relationships of all cultures, socioeconomic status, educational levels,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just to throw this out there, because this is an extreme example, but this is one of those things that can happen to anybody, because there are policemen and women that are
Mm-hmm.
trained to take you down and beat your ass and take your life,
Mm-hmm.
and they are getting abused. There are military that are trained to be deadly and lethal, and they are getting abused in some instances. So it's not always about just an immaturity of mind or a younger status of age, right? There's a lot of factors. I personally think there's a lot of factors that go into it. I don't know her, never really even known who she is other than this whole thing popping off. Hey, sure. Never
Hey,
even known
Sharon.
who this thing is, who she is other than this thing popping off. I've never been a huge Puffy fan, so I don't follow him either. And when it first came out, I really didn't pay attention to it. And I didn't pay attention until the other day. I actually popped on there to see, um, okay, well, what is this video everybody keeps talking about? Because one, I don't believe in
Mm-hmm.
traumatizing myself for free. I, I
Right.
get paid to be in people's trauma with them in their worst moments, right? That's my profession. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't typically do it outside of those hours. But I finally looked it up, and it was a lot. There
But
had
I
to
know
be
some women
other
that would have
things.
drug his ass, myself included.
True, that may be true, but just because now I try my best to look at different sides. There are older women, there are younger men, there are older women, men that are getting abused and being victimized. So again, it's not limited to age, and it has nothing to do all the time with money, because they broke people being abused and being abusive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be careful that we're not setting a tone in this
No,
conversation
it's
that
not. It's not. But it's about power. Period.
true,
It's not about money equating to power. It's not about social standing equating to power. But some people are just power trippers.
true, very true, very true.
And when you have power trippers, they look for the weakest link in the room
Oh, absolutely.
because
And let me throw this out
that's
there. Even the most powerful person can be turned into a victim in the right circumstance with the right other person and the right context. So again, that's why I just want to make sure this is a very polarizing conversation. And I don't shy away from it, but I want to make sure that we give breath to all the different caveats and layers that
oh, absolutely.
surround abuse. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, but what I'm chiming in on and zeroing in on is the P in SIP, which the P in
Yes,
SIP is for power. And when you
yes,
when you talk about a lot of abuse, most of it equates to it's not really about the abuse itself, it's about the power that they can exert over another being. That is really where the abuse
I
comes
agree.
from, because some people get off on just being able to have the power over you.
I agree. And even if they don't put it in those terms, sometimes it's from a lack of security within self, a lack of confidence, a love
Mhm.
for self, a lack of understanding or self concept. And so we will as humans seek to dominate. I prefer that word rather than power tripping personally,
Mm-hmm.
but we will seek to dominate another person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And turn them into what we want them to be in order to feel better about ourselves.
That
And
part.
so, yeah, and so, like I said, even with I like the fact when you started this, you said entitlement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even when I was using the example of when we were flying in last night, the guy that ended up sitting next to me on the flight, he was a pretty cool dude. I'm assuming he was in his 50s or 60s. And he ended up sharing that he had been a former serviceman and he was in Air Force. And then I think he went into the Army, had two sons in the Army, somebody in the Navy. So we ended up talking about that. And I'm thanking him for his service and we're having a good time just, chatting while we're waiting for the plane to take off. And then he ends up telling me like he had witnessed some of the chaos on the plane that the previous flight attendants were on trying to get to us so we could leave, right? And that was one of the planes where people almost got into a fist fight. The entitlement, because now we've all been on a plane where there was a level of respect that all of us want to get the fuck off of here. We all got bags, we all got
Mm-hmm.
stuff, we all got places we trying to go, flights we trying to catch, or other places, appointments, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been times I've been on a flight where everybody was respectful and paused because none of us are more worthy than the other one to get off quicker, right? So it literally will go row by row. Everybody's calm, chilling, relaxed. And then each row comes and they stand up, get their stuff, and it's like a domino effect. And then I've been on flights where it's complete mayhem. People will stand up before we've even gotten to the gate and they're coming over the PA system like, sit down. We will not move this plane until you sit down, right? And that's what happened on that flight. Like some guy stood up and was like, I need my shit. So he in the overhead bin trying to get his stuff. And people were getting angry because the pilot kept coming over the system saying, I'm not moving this plane any further until you sit back down. And the guy was like, it was a standoff. So a couple was ready to fight him because they weren't moving. So you're delaying an already delayed situation. And I'm tickled because that level of entitlement that my thing is so much more important than anybody else in this space is what so many people operate in, right? Whether it's on a
Mm-hmm.
plane, whether it's in a restaurant, whether it's at the doctor's, we've all seen those people in the store. We've all seen those people that have decided in that moment, my thing matters
My
way
stuff
more
is
than you
more
and anything
important.
else.
Yes.
Right. And so that's why I'm big on personal power too, because a lot of times in those situations, here's an example, y'all. So I had a girlfriend that recently started walking with me periodically. So she'll go to the walking trails with me. And this is her first time doing it. Like, I think she went once before years ago. So this is her first time really doing it with me. And so we were out there a while back, and this younger Caucasian male, he looked like he was in his 20s, had a dog. And when he was walking up next to us, his dog was on a leash, but I am always paying attention, right? So anytime I
Mm-hmm.
hear somebody walking up behind me, I'm turning to keep an eye on him. So I see him coming up and I see him, he had one of those retractable leashes. I see him press the button to let the leash elongate. So the dog, as he's walking past us, starts veering over toward me and her. And I was like, sir, please get your dog. And he looked at me like, huh? I said, sir, please get your dog. I said, bitch, get your motherfucking dog because it's not going to end well for either one of you if that dog bites me. And she was like, Jasmine, what the hell just happened? Now, y'all know me. I am an animal lover. I love fur babies. I have rescued, almost every animal I've had for over the past decade. I love dogs, but I don't know your dog. You know your dog, but I don't. Number one, why did you feel like your dog had more right of way to be on the side where we were walking on than we did as human beings? Number two, why did you feel like your dog had the right of way to get that close to our personal space and that you as a dog owner felt like it was okay being an asshole, right? To let the leash elongate itself so he could literally come, we're not playing those games.
Mm-mm.
And she asked me why I did that. I said, that's one of the ways I take up space now and I stand in my own power. Because we as Black women, we as Black people, period, Black men and women have been taught to reduce ourselves, to downsize and decrease ourselves, to feel shame about being loud or boisterous or animated or powerful or, acknowledging our boundaries. And I said, especially here in the South, Alabama, I see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
A white person will walk past you and damn near contort themselves to not have to say excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
versus just excuse me so you can move. Or they'll act like you're not standing there and step all over you to get, no, we're not doing that, right? And so I took that stance with
Mm-hmm.
him. So this is what he did. So we were walking in a circle on this particular trail. So he was coming up on the other side. Now again, we on our side, he on his side on the trail, just like you on the driving lane,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
When he got close, a couple of yards away, and he saw us and recognized us, he thought he was slick. His dog was on the trail. He was on the grass. I saw him start to press the button to let the leash elongate itself again. So his dog, I said, I promise you, that's not going to end the way you think it is, because I'm going to kill you and that damn dog. If that dog comes for me, I'm going to fight for my life and defend it. Choose your battle wisely, sir. And he looked at me real quick and pulled the leash back and moved over and kept going. My point is, I don't take that lightly, right? That's not something that I typically will just pop
Mm-hmm.
off and say in conversation. That's not something that, ever really crosses my mind unless it's a dangerous situation. But what he had showed us twice was that he felt like his dog was more valuable than we were as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so again, that may not have anything to do with the sex or the intimacy part, but it has everything to do with the power part of, that's just one example that we a lot of times deal with every single day as far as microaggressions in the workplace,
Mm-hmm.
in the store, at the gas station, on the hiking trail, at
Mm-hmm.
the dog park, wherever it is. And
Mm-hmm.
so my hope is that as people watch this podcast, we do a lot of joking. We like to sit and drink and be silly. We might get a little tipsy, but there's also purpose and power in us having
Absolutely.
conversations. And my hope is that somebody takes something away from it, even when we got to be a little serious, or even when the conversation turns a little tense, right? Because that moment inspired my friend. She was like, I've never really seen this side of you. You're always laughing and smiling. You're so chill. Everybody thinks I'm a little sweet Cabbage Patch, right? And I am. I mean, I'm not nice, but I'm kind. Um,
Right.
but that was an opportunity for her to see me hold boundaries. Like, no, what you're not going to do is reduce me or make me feel like I don't even have the right to fix your
And
dog.
that's what you just said, boundaries. And a lot of us do not hold boundaries. And
Yeah.
a lot of us will move our boundaries to accommodate other people.
Yeah.
And that's another way of shirking our power,
Yep.
because when you move your boundaries, you're saying, I mean, yeah, this is what I really want to stand on, but I'm afraid in this moment to stand in my power. And
Yeah.
I'm allowing you to exert more power over me,
Mm-hmm.
and to diminish my boundaries.
Yep.
And
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 the
that shows up
and
in so
that's
many
in
ways.
that's yes, in so many ways, because now that also goes into the sex and the intimacy. It's like, if you
Boom.
don't have your boundaries and you don't stand on your boundaries, because you remember there was a saying that if you don't stand for something, you will fall for
For
anything.
anything.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing, is that you have boundaries, but if you move them to accommodate other people, and they get used to you moving them to accommodate them,
Yeah. Well,
it's going to
think
be
about
expected.
think about the depth of what I just shared with you though. Like, we
Mhm,
literally watched this man twice try
mhm,
to let his dog leash
mhm,
lengthen so the dog could encroach around us. Now, again, that dog
mhm.
might have been the friendliest baby and could have been, I don't know your dog. And
Right.
all I know is that that is an animal that doesn't know me. And if it decides that it feels threatened, might decide to attack me or my friend and could lunge for any reason, because I don't know you or your
Mhm,
dog. And we are here in the belt buckle of the South, the
mhm.
heart of the civil rights movement. And so for a person, because whether he was white didn't matter so much, but it does matter. But the fact
Does.
that a person thought his dog, you understand, when not so far in the recent history, not so far back, dogs were being unleashed on people. So that's why I
Absolutely. That's
say,
exactly what I thought about in Alabama, right there at the Edmund Pettus Bill Bridge. That's where they unleashed the dogs and fire hoses on black people.
that's why I responded the way that I did. And like I said, that was an inspiring moment for her from what she shared with me. Like, she's been more mindful of taking up space and not reducing herself or constricting herself. And I'm like, I wanted to be honest with her. Like, it's not easy, but I was being honest with him. Like, dude, if
Right.
you let that dog loose, I'm going to fight for my life because I'm going to assume you're trying to harm me. I'll deal with the consequences later. But my gut
Right.
instinct is going to be to protect me and her. Right.
Mhm.
So that's why I don't go empty handed because I'm not going to be trying to fist fight nobody. And girl, what? No, we're not
Right.
doing that.
Right.
But
And
the point,
that's the other thing is
yeah.
that um you know in the last, I want to say, 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
they've made it okay to kind of revert to the ways of the South and the ways
They
of
have.
the old South. They've made it quote unquote okay, but what they don't understand is we are not our ancestors.
I've heard that saying before, and I agree and I don't agree. I'm gonna tell
There's
you why.
one thing I don't agree about when I say we're not our ancestors. The one thing is that some of us will fight for our rights, and others of us, for lack of a better word, will Uncle Tom our way through it.
Okay. So, and that's why I said I agree and I don't agree. Our ancestors, this is how I look at this, because I understand the context of what people were, I think, what people were trying to say with that.
Mhm.
I would not be who I am without my ancestors. None of us would be. So whether they were ride or die on the front lines, whether they were warriors, whether they were healers in the background and shaman, whatever they were, whether they were peacemakers, hell, whether they were Uncle Tom, whatever they were, we are here because of what they labored through, because of what they made it through. Because anybody less than, anybody weak minded, quote unquote, anybody that did not have it in them to be great or powerful would not have survived most of the shit that our ancestors went through, not even a little bit of it. So the fact
Even
that
when
we
they
are
sold
here,
out.
even when they sold out, because I'm a big believer in shit has to happen. Y'all, I'm cussing a lot tonight. Just roll with it.
That's
I'm a
okay.
big
We both cuss.
Listen, I'm a big believer. Shit has to happen. So you know what? Some of the things that my enemies have done to me have been the things that set me up to tune deeper into my power. Do I agree with it? No. Would I want to go through it willingly or intentionally? Hell no. But were those things some of the catalysts that made me more powerful in me? Yes. So even the people that sold out, even the people that were Uncle Tom and brown noses or whatever, served their purpose. And the people that fought, the people that prayed behind the scenes, the people that were silent. See, let me be real honest with this and say I am not a front lines person, and I had to recognize that. It's not because I don't have the rage or the anger to do it, or the fight or the warrior energy to do it. I can, but that's the problem. See, some of us are not meant to be on the front lines because we will die too soon, right? If my rage takes over and I'm out there trying to fight everybody or kill people, where's that going to put me, in jail or dead? How am I helpful to anybody in my community or my people if that's where I end up? So I recognized that about myself years ago. That was a conversation me and Spirit had to have. And I started to understand that's not where I need to be. I am a behind the scenes person and I prefer that. I've always preferred that. But I'm
And
the
I'm a
one
trailblazer.
for help. Yeah. But I'm the one that people come to for the help behind the scenes, right? So I'm their safe person. And it's okay for you to be the trailblazer. And it's okay for somebody else to be something else. And it's okay for somebody else to be something else. Because all of that is what got us here and what helps us to still move forward.
Touche.
So we may not be all of our ancestors because some of them was real fucked up. And we are healing in
Right.
ways we couldn't imagine. But we
Right.
are our ancestors and we are as powerful as we are because of those who were.
Absolutely.
That's my take on that.
You know what? And I totally agree. But one of when I say that, I just mean that because I'm gonna be real. See, Spirit knew when to put me on this earth because I would not have made it back then, and I'm gonna tell you why. My mouth is too flip. I'm too stubborn and too, and I believe in past lives, and I believe
Yeah.
that that I probably was here before and got gone real quick. That gone real
I'm
quick.
with you when you're
They
right.
said they said get that big mouth bitch out of here.
I'm with you when you're right. See, that's why I said we have to know ourselves, right?
Mhm,
Like I had
mhm.
to recognize years ago, I can't serve in that capacity because if I can't contain my rage, if I'm put in certain circumstances, or I can't contain the heartbreak that I feel seeing certain things or witnessing certain things, I'm of no help to myself or anybody else. I serve in a better capacity doing the things I do behind the scenes. And then you know what? I can't think of her name, but this girl on TikTok said it. I think last year, or the year before, I don't know. But she was like, "Who want to be a martyr?" Anyway, why? Because look at what they did to ML King. Look at or
Right.
ML King. Look at what they did
I
to
don't want
Malcolm
to
X.
be a martyr, but I sure ain't gonna be a doormat.
Oh, agreed, agreed. But
I
this
ain't
is why
gonna
we
be a
have to have
martyr, but I'm not
conversations.
gonna be a doormat. That's the thing, is like I know that sometimes I say things and I point out wrongs and I write people up and things like that. I make waves, and I know I make waves. And
Mm.
sometimes the waves don't serve me, but they serve the people after me, and it's okay. And
I
it's
feel you.
okay.
I
It's
feel you.
okay.
I feel you
Yep.
on that. Well, because that got real deep, real intense, real heavy, real quick.
Absolutely.
Let's
Let's go to
segue.
something. Let's go. Let's go
Let's
back to something.
segue.
Let's go to
Let's
something
start
else.
drinking on. So, housekeeping, because we
What you
literally go
drinking,
right on
sure? What you drinking, sure, sure?
that.
What
Yes.
you drinking, Sheila Ann? Come
Look,
on,
we
tell
go
us
there
what you
real quick.
drinking.
So, housekeeping, if you guys are seeing us on Facebook, please make sure that you click, or if you got the link in text, email, whatever, please make sure that you keep clicking all the way through to the YouTube live if you want to comment and engage with us so that we can see it. Because if you're any of the other places, we won't see it. Um, Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for engaging. And thank you for just being a part of our audience. This is truly a passion of mine. I've been having these conversations for umpteen years now. And we finally birthed the podcast last year. And it's growing, and it's because of you guys. And so I appreciate every single one of you that gets a chance to tune in, every single one of you that shares, that comments, that engages, that encourages behind the scenes, the questions that you all submit. We got a stack of them today we're going to go through. So just thank you for being y'all and helping us grow the SIP podcast, because it matters for all of us. We're doing this for all of us. Me and you and you and you. So with that, tell us what you're drinking on. Pop it in the comments and let us know. If you got a recipe, tell us. It could be something alcoholic, non-alcoholic. It could be water, whatever it is. Let us know. We got you. We're going to celebrate with you. And now on to the first question. I'm going to pop
All
that up
right,
on the
let's do it.
screen. Do you think some men and
Ooh,
women are hypersexual?
I do. I
Okay.
was.
Tell us why. Is you slipping? Is you slipping in slow motion, girl? What is you doing?
I'm sipping in slow motion because, honey, I had to get my little thoughts right when you said that. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, some people have addictive personalities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some addictions transfer.
Yeah.
And so at one time I did have a sex addiction. It wasn't, it was like a transference of addictions, but um addictions are to replace a pain.
Yeah.
And once I identified the pain, it was gone. But that doesn't mean I didn't like being sexual. But I think in the terms of hypersexual, the way that that person meant that, I think when I saw that question and I saw the context that they had put that in, they were talking about like women that like to be like overly underdressed and
Yeah.
things like that. Um, that's never been me, overly underdressed.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a closet hypersexual.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to share context. I'm going to share. I don't know if this was you or Mike or Kiana that put this in our group
That
chat,
was
but
me.
okay, you. So it was originally posted by somebody named Patrick Tate.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, y'all be talking about hypersexual men being weird, but never discuss hypersexual women. LOL. Like that's their whole capital letters identity. She ready to go right
Mm-hmm.
now if you call her. LOL. Posting subliminal statuses all the time, half naked. I don't care if your body crazy. Y'all just tell them they're confident and say we can't shame, look down on them. LOL. At our big grown age, anybody super duper focused on sexual activity need to grow up. LOL. A lot of LOLs. It's just not that
Mm-hmm.
deep. Ever. Go wash. Well, damn. Okay. Go wash.
But I'm gonna say this. This is somebody that's younger than me. He is somebody that I follow. Um, he's in his 30s. No, he's in his late 20s. He's in his late 20s. Um, and I'm just saying, you know, there's also that whole thing about putting it in perspective to where you are in your age and stage in life. I got grown
Sure.
ass kids. I'm doing me.
Okay. Oh,
That's
that
what
was
I'm
it.
saying. Yeah, I got grown ass kids. You know, you in your 20s. When I was in my 20s, I had little kids at home. I wasn't being hypersexual, but here I am. I'm 50. I'll be 54 next Wednesday. My kids are grown. I'ma do me. I'ma do me.
Listen, and my personal thought on it based on the context of his post was that I do agree with him. I think we do police men when we feel like they're being hypersexual, but as women, we expect a different type of treatment if we want to bear it all. Now, I don't police anybody. Dress how you want to dress. I ain't gotta like it. I'm not fucking you. I'm not with you, right? I'm not you. So do what you do. Live your life. But I do agree with what I understand his context to be like. If we're going to say it about one, it needs to be general, and we need to say it about the other, the same standard. So I do tend to kind of shy away from being around people or being in relationship with people as friends, etc., that are just overly, to me, always exposing themselves. I'm not saying you can't be sexy, like had the girls on display, pop it, lock it, do whatever.
Wait
But
a minute.
it's just not my comfort zone because that's not the type of attention that I want to draw when I'm out and about, as well as that's just not how I dress. And I'm not saying they have to dress like that to be friends with me. However, I do understand based on my own experience. I ain't talking about everybody else, my own experience before I kind of tightened that boundary up a little bit around myself. And I said, I don't care. I accept everybody. I love them as long as they love me and they respect me. What I noticed was the women friends that I had that wanted to behave in a certain way and dress a certain way always end up putting me in situations that I didn't want to be fucking in. Here's an example. There was a group of friends I had years ago here, and we used to go out, ladies' lunch, dinner, movies, whatever, like 2 or 3 times a month. And I just started to notice that a couple of the ladies that dressed a little bit more provocatively, they drank a little bit more than I did and am comfortable with in public. One particular night, one of them got so drunk and she was big as fuck. Like she was 6 feet tall. Like she was a thick girl. She was gorgeous, but she weighed a shit ton drunk, right? And we had to get guys to help us carry her ass to the car because she got so drunk she couldn't stand, nor could she drive home. So that resulted in me having to ask some guys to help carry her to the car. And I had to drive home with her with me. And another friend had to drive her car to my house so she could stay the night and sleep it off. I don't want to be around that. Right. And then another friend, it resulted in us almost getting into a fist fight because some dude made a comment and she didn't like it. And she started popping off and he started popping off and they was going at it. And next thing I knew, I was literally sandwiched between them trying to keep the peace. And his boys was hyping him up. And again, she was another 6 foot Amazon. She was gorgeous. But I'm 5'4", right? Like trying to keep a 6 foot girl from fighting a 6 foot dude. So in my experience, that just wasn't the type of person I wanted to hang out with, because there are certain situations I'm not going to be doing all that fighting in public. I'm not going to be drunk to the point that I can't stand up and I can't communicate and handle my business. That's just never been me. So those are not people that I tend to hang out with, but I don't police them either. Shit, do what you do. You're just not gonna do it with me. I don't care whether you're male or female.
So I'm gonna tie this into what Sher's comment was, and Sher's comment actually referred to Diddy and his selected victims, right?
Oh.
That he has a type, and his type includes women who are looking for a man to validate them and low self-esteem. So let's tie that up, baby, because guess what? Most of the women who are hypersexual, who have to post all their goodies, on Instagram or things like that, are looking for validation, and they usually do have unfortunately, they do have low self-esteem. They may pretend like they have high self-esteem. Y'all just mad because my body banging. Y'all just mad because da 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 da. No, that's not it, sweetie. Like, no, that's not it. But that's the thing, is those same women are also often victimized.
Hmm.
The ones that are,
I'm not gonna say everybody that looks like that is insecure.
No, I'm not saying that. A lot of the ones that are hypersexual are often victimized, because a lot of times they're hypersexual because of their self-esteem. Trust me, I'm trying to tell you, listen, I let you into my life a little bit, and I told you I was there once. And
so
at the time that I was
what
there,
that is to you, though. Like, that's context. Define to me what you say hypersexual is.
I mean, I was looking for validation from men.
No, I mean, is it a certain dress? Is it a certain
attitude? Yeah, it's a dress. It's a behavior. It's a, you want to be seen. Like, it's the whole thing about, like, you want to be acknowledged and seen. And sometimes to be acknowledged and seen means you got to be half dressed. And at the time that I wanted to be acknowledged and seen, I mean, I'm going to put it in context. I was dating like football players, NFL players. That what they like that. They want to see that what they want to see. They didn't want, they want to see what they was getting. And and at that time, I needed validation.
I don't know that I can really talk on that, because I think my experience was the opposite of that, right? So at 44, I looked the same physique wise. Obviously, I'm a few pounds heavier, but shapely wise, I looked the same as I did when I was 14. I had boobs, I had thighs and ass. And so I, at a very young age, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, was getting attention from gross old ass men. You know what I'm saying? And that to me was just such a turnoff, and it was so overwhelming that I went the opposite end of the spectrum, and I always tried to downplay my assets. And I was always in like gym clothes, and I was a tomboy because I grew up with boy cousins anyway. So I grew up watching like WCW, WWF, and we were all wrestling and doing all kind of craziness, climbing trees. But even when I got into my 20s, then I was in a hypersexual environment, which was a turnoff to me, because by that point I was a fitness trainer, and so in the gym, most times your uniform is leggings, polo shirt, workout shorts, whatever. And I think I just see the human body differently. Maybe, I don't know, because I've seen so many of them. I've seen so many penises and so many vaginas, because I used to do quality of life. I used to do hospice. I've done so much caretaking of people that I've seen it at all sizes, stages, colors, and everything. And so I think I'm desensitized to it a little bit, But
and that's the thing. That's the thing. I think as a society, we also have become desensitized, because everybody is a quote unquote Instagram model. Everybody is, you know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, there was a time, and I talked about this earlier this week with someone else. There was a time where you didn't hear anything outside of damn. But I remember when Florida Evan said damn on Good Times, and it was like, woo,
Dang.
because she's like, damn, damn, damn. And that was like, that was like, whoa. But now you hear everything. They say everything. They even say shit. I heard shit. I heard bitch. I was like, what? On regular TV, right? So we have become desensitized. And then the other thing is like, there is no limit to the sexual activities that they show on regular programming.
Yeah. And I remember, I don't know what year it was, but Janet Leigh was the first actress that kind of she had a scene with her bra, and that was controversial. Jamie Lee Curtis's mom. However many years ago that was. Now, baby, they showing tits, ass.
They show titties, they show whatever. And that's the thing, is that have we become so desensitized that hypersexual to someone who may still want to be demure, is what's considered quote unquote normal to the rest of society, because that's what we see all the time. I mean, come on now. We got somebody who made a whole damn career off a sex tape.
Well,
Kim Kardashian.
And that's why I said I think it just depends on perspective and experience, because I didn't really start. I mean, I knew how to dress it. I've always known I had assets. But I don't know that I really got to a place where I even wanted to show it off until I was in my 30s. And that was just because I was tired of hiding at that point. I'll never forget this dude named Roger. He was a trainer at the gym. And it was cold. For context, I had a right to be dressed the way that I was. But I had on leggings and a t-shirt, and then I had a loose sweatsuit on top of that, because it was cold as hell. It was the wintertime. So I'm going to the gym to go meet some clients. And I walk in, and he was like, Jay. And I was like, what? And he was like, stop hiding. And I was like, what? And he was like, bro, we all know what you working with. Like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, it's cold as hell outside. But when he said that to me, it really made me think, because I don't know that I was consciously aware. I had implemented that behavior as a teenager, but I don't know that I was consciously aware of that's what I was doing and why I was doing it. And when he said it to me, I was like, damn. So I made a conscious effort to stop hiding myself. Like, it is what it is. I got what I got. And it wasn't like I walked around like that 24/7. I love me a good summer dress and some sandals. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't until I got into my 30s where I consciously started wearing like a bodycon dress or other things that maybe were more revealing. Not because I just want to show it off, but because it looks nice to me. Like, when I look in the mirror, it's like, you know what? Okay, that fits well. I like that. That became more of my decision maker. But I have had friends that can't leave the house. And it was just mind-boggling to me to have these conversations with them. I've had friends that cannot leave the house unless they take 50-11 pictures of all these different outfits. And is it revealing enough? Does it show enough cleavage? Does it have this? Does it have that? And I just was just, wow. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I learned, for me, that wasn't necessarily the type of person I wanted to be around because of the situations that they would put themselves in. But I think, hold on one second. But I think hypersexuality is also about more than how you dress. It is also about more than how you behave. It's your mindset. It's your mentality. It's the things you say, how you treat sex and intimacy. I think it's all of those things. So let me get to this comment.
That's why what she said resonates. That's because they need a fresh supply. And the only way to do that is to placate to what younger and younger individuals. Exactly. And that, when you're younger, that's what appeals to you, is what you see first. And you worry about substance later. And sometimes you don't even worry about substance, I'm going to be honest.
That is true.
So this is true. So sure, can you expound on that? Are you saying, are they trying to relive their youth, recapture their youth? Is that what you're thinking? I'm trying to go with you on this.
Yeah, help me.
That's where I'm going. Help me with that when you say fresh supply.
Because I want to be careful that we don't just make this a thing with young people. This is not a young
Right.
person issue. I'm
No.
saying 60-year-old, 70. Y'all, listen, I swear to y'all, one of my Facebook friends, actually, she's my real life friend, but she shared it on Facebook, shared a picture of 3 people at church. It was 2 ladies and a man in between. They all looked like they was in their 60s. They standing at church, like church attire, the two of them. And the one grandma lady had on one of them dresses that has like the body outline and it has the nipples and then the snatched waist and then the kind of imprint of the vagina. Like she literally had one of those dresses on. And they in
At
church.
church?
Yes. And I was like, mm. So I want to be careful that we're not trying to make it slanted and skewed and
Yeah,
we
because there are
young
some people
people
trying to
behave.
recapture their youth because like um so there are some people, I'm gonna be honest, there are some people who they gained weight sometime in their life, and then when they lost weight again, they wanted to recapture that youth and that when they
Yeah.
were small, you know what I mean? And so they start now there ain't nothing worse than seeing somebody that's 70 something years old or 60 something years old wearing something that 20 something year olds wear. If you don't get your wrinkled ass out of that damn miniskirt.
And let me say this. Let me say this. Because because you're saying like I get it that we switch it up, right? I get it that we switch it up.
Right,
And some people can go overboard and the cussing and the sex and all the
right.
things we're desensitized. But if you notice, and I had somebody that kind of picked up on this recently, they was like, you do a lot of code switching, and I do, right?
Yeah.
So for example, all day Tuesday, I was in a room full of mostly Caucasian people in a professional space teaching project management, right? So we're talking about systems and budgets and time and risk analysis and all these things. I'm not cursing. I'm not talking about certain things. My vernacular is different. Wednesday, and Thursday, I was I was the keynote at a conference, and it was a whole different group of people, mostly people of color, mostly urban. They serve a certain population, but I still went in treating them the same, and I let each group that I'm with set the tone, right? So when they started getting more relaxed and they let a few juicy cuss words slip and was referencing things, then I'm like, okay, let me match you, because if I can match you, if I can reflect you back to you, you're going to get more out of this. You're going to be more open to what I'm
Right,
saying, right? But I'm
right.
still only going to go so far in that space because I'm still there in my professional capacity. Now, here in the evening time, the After Dark, the Sip podcast, or whatever, or in other personal spaces, I tend to curse a lot more. I tend to be more relaxed about certain things, and I'm a lot more eclectic because in one space I am very buttoned up and I have to behave in a certain way and present myself right so that it doesn't cause friction. Whereas here, this is kind of I ain't gonna say it's a safe space because it's very public, but it is a safe space for me to be more of me because it's more of my
Mm-hmm.
audience. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we have to take that in context as well. I'm just sharing that as a devil's advocate. We have to
I got
take it in
you.
context of
Right.
why do people behave or do certain things in certain, are they code switching because maybe they're a corporate CEO during the daytime, or maybe they're a flight attendant during the daytime or whatever, and they're very buttoned up, very
I
professional,
mean,
very
I code
whatever. And then
switch. I code switch, and I think all of us that are black and work in a professional environment do. We code switch. I mean, and the thing is that we have to.
yeah, and it's tiring
We have
and
to.
it's
It
exhausting.
is. It is very exhausting.
So I
It
think
is
in these
very
spaces we
exhausting.
do get a little bit more lax, and so there are some women and or men that may feel like that's a part of their self-expression. So I think I meant to say that earlier and I forgot, but I also want to say that it's not always low self-esteem, right? It's
Okay.
not always trying to seek validation because I don't feel good without it. Sometimes I think they do want the validation, but they want it because they feel good. They think they look damn good and they want to hear other people say it. That's an ego stroke. That could be orgasmic, right? That could be a turn on for people to get that
Yeah,
kind
for
of attention. So I think
narcissists.
I think we have to personalize it a little
I
bit
don't
more.
know. Ego stroke for a narcissist, maybe.
No, we all want our ego stroked in different ways. We all
I
want our
like.
ego stroked in different
I
ways.
mean, I like what you're saying about the ego stroke, but yeah, you're right. I mean, but usually those that
And in the past, I will say this because we've talked about that word. Like Kiana and I did an episode last year about narcissistic um, tendencies and the word narcissism being
Mm-hmm.
just thrown
Mm-hmm.
around so lightly nowadays. And that's very dangerous, right? Not saying that you're doing it,
It
but just in
is.
context of what we're talking about. And then I think
Right.
we all four had an episode in the past, Q, Mike, and Benny and I, and we talked about that. And Benny made a good point. We all have narcissistic tendencies. Like by very definition, we as human beings want to be affirmed and adored and loved on. But there's a difference in us displaying the need for validation and it being a true mental health issue, right? So
Right.
I want to make sure we keep that clear and forefront for people watching too. That
Or like what Shar said, what Shar just said is that is a different spin. They have to be the center of attention. Exactly.
yeah,
The center of attention.
yeah,
So I guess that is a little bit different than being narcissistic. They do just want to be the center of attention. But what I do like is when she told us about the fresh supply, that no mainstream media targets the youth. The largest industry is beauty, how you look. Everything is about how you look.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely,
But they
absolutely. I
can't
mean,
do it
I
without us. So let's hold us as a society accountable too, because they can't do it without us. If we're not buying it, if we're not supporting it, they can't keep doing it because it wouldn't be profitable. So we can't look at them and blame them for everything. We also have to look at ourselves and figure out where we participate and have some culpability in that.
and I have
That's my thought.
culpability, and I'm gonna tell you where I have culpability.
Oh,
This
right.
morning, I was watching the news, right,
Mm-hmm.
and I was watching a local station here, and I mean, I guess now they don't have as many filters turned on. They don't have their makeup. I guess it's not done like it was before. Like, let me just keep it real. It's not done like it was pre-COVID, right? And
Mm.
so people look a lot more natural now, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And their wrinkles are showing and things like that. And I caught myself because guess what I said?
Mm.
She looked too old to be on the news.
Oh, damn.
Because the thing is that now where did I get that from? Society. Because once they started showing wrinkles and things like that, especially women,
Yeah.
they went from being on the news desk to being behind the scenes. Now they're the producer.
Yeah.
Now they're the executive writer, or now they're the senior writer and things like that. But I had to catch myself because the thing is that one thing that has come out of COVID, I don't know if you've noticed, is
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of newscasters and stuff are now going more natural,
Mm-hmm.
and they're showing their wrinkles and they're showing their not so youthful bodies. They're showing, you know what I'm saying? We never saw that. And so the for the lack of a better word, the image of the star has
Mm.
now become different.
Okay.
Because remember, the star before pre-COVID was unflawed. There
Mm.
was no flaw in the star. They
Mm-hmm.
were right, right. How women are portrayed as actresses, older actresses and models versus the younger. Correct. You're right. They make young people play old people because while they still had a youthful look to them, they still had, unless they was us, because we always look young. Look at Angela Bassett. Oh girl.
She fine, fine.
Yeah, she fine, fine. But I'm just saying, I mean, it's like, but that's the thing is that, come on now. Um, what
Well,
made us start like really looking at ourselves with such a critical eye was the stars, Hollywood, stardom, things like that. Their standard of beauty was
Sure.
different, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's what happened to that beauty queen last year,
Or beauty queen.
the one that committed suicide in January of 2023. The thing
Mm-hmm.
is that she wasn't married. She was on Entertainment Tonight. She wasn't
Mm.
married. She was approaching 30
Mm.
without being in a relationship and things like that. Societal pressures told her, societal pressures, and unfortunately, what's his name? Kevin Samuels and his cronies, those kind of people, told her she was washed up, because that if she wasn't in a committed relationship or a married by 30, she wasn't worthy, right? And so who dictated that age range? Where did that come from?
And
You know,
again,
but
I'm gonna throw out there because I want to make sure we also move on to some of the other questions. But again, I'm gonna
sure.
throw out there that we are also still responsible as women. Now, I'm not saying that I don't even care for Kevin Samuels. I didn't follow his stuff
Right.
before he died. Hadn't followed it since he died. Don't really care. But the little bit I heard about him, I didn't care for him. It is what it is. What I do feel like though is we as women have a role to play in this, because I do hear the rhetoric that, women over 40, you're going to have a harder time dating. Women over 40, if you haven't been married or if you want to get married, it's going to be slim pickings. I've heard all of that. I'm 44. I waited intentionally till I was in my late 30s to get married. I had multiple proposals before that point. I waited until I felt like I was ready because I knew that I had work to do on me. I knew that there was shit that I needed to address before even trying to consider that step. You know what I'm saying? And then when I realized, oh nope, this ain't what I thought it was. I'm still not prepared. I'm not okay. I exited because I knew that I still had to put me first and take care of me. That being said, there are a lot of women who are intentional about that. And it's not that we're single or divorced or whatever because we can't get a man. And I think men take that for granted. And this is my take on it. And I'm not saying I'm right, but this is my take on it after listening to people for 25 years. I think a lot of men say this stupid shit because it's their own way of dealing with their own insecurity of not being able to get the woman that they want. And it's a way
Mm,
to put certain women in their place to try to bring her back down when you think that she's above you, or you're not on her level. They try to bring us back down so that we are more compatible with them instead of them rising up to be compatible with who they see us to be. Now, I'm saying that we as women are also culpable in that because we have a responsibility to build each other up as well. I'm always hyping my friend. Listen, I'm a damn good cheerleader. So I'm always hyping my friends up. I'm always telling them that they're beautiful and that they're sexy and that they're whatever it is that I know that their love language is, because we need to hear that just as much as we want to hear it from them. We need to hear it from each other. And I think that we slacked off in giving one another that. Our mothers had insecurities, our grandmothers had insecurities, and they poured those insecurities into us. And that hybrid effect of that with that masculine side of it, with those ego trips and those issues, created this melting pot that we have now, where we think that we have less value because we've hit a certain age and men have more value when they've hit a certain age. I call bullshit, because I see just as many raggedy ass men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s as I do in their 20s and 30s. And I see just as many good men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s as I do in their 20s and 30s. And the same thing for women. We're hitting our prime sexually, emotionally, mentally. We're hitting our freedom. And so before we segue to the next question, I just want to leave this at that.
mhm.
We as women have a responsibility to one another to build each other up. Fuck what a
Absolutely.
man is saying. Now, I love men. I love black men. I love men. They're amazing. But fuck what a man is saying. We have a responsibility to build one another up. And I saw this video yesterday, so I'll throw this in there for context. This girl said, we got to stop asking to be included in spaces they don't want our asses in, talking about the makeup industry.
Wow.
Why is we are black women always begging a white company to build some shit for us, right? Make it yourself and sell it. Take it and personal, right? Like, stop begging them to do. And I'm saying the same thing about men. Stop begging the man that don't want you or that wants to build you, break you down in order to build you up. Stop letting his words matter than working on yourself or the people that love you building you up. Like that, I'm gonna leave that at that. Let's move on. We can go back to this another time if y'all want to keep talking
Yep.
about it,
And
guys.
thank you,
But I want to
sure,
make sure we can answer
for
some of the
your
other questions.
comments.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
for your comments. But I want to make sure we can answer some of the other questions. I'm gonna put them up here real
Yes.
quick just so we can see them.
Okay.
Um, Hollywood is the reason why a lot of women suffer silently. Because, yeah, they were replaced by the next woman child, and that's true. That's very true. But guess what? Nobody can tear us down when we insist on building ourselves up from the inside out. I'm gonna stand on that.
Absolutely.
We have a responsibility
Absolutely.
to ourselves and one another. So the next question, and if y'all really want to keep talking about this, let us know. Send us some more questions. Drop it in the comments, and we'll circle back on another episode. But in fairness, we do have other questions that we got to get to.
Yes.
I thought this one was really important, and I think it's a great segue from what we just talked about. Did you see the Halle Berry interview on TikTok? I did.
Oh,
I'm in my 30s and I'm dealing with it. Why aren't we as ladies and men talking about this more? So when they
what
sent
did
this
she say?
question, I actually went and searched on TikTok. And what it is, Halle Berry was doing like interviews and panel discussions talking about the fact that she had gone to her healthcare provider because she having sex to get her good in with her man, right? And she was having some pain and some discomfort, went to the doctor, and the doctor basically told her she had herpes. And then when he went and did the actual test, it was not herpes. She was dealing with vaginal dryness and some hormonal challenges and changes because her body's changing. She's in her, I think she's 50, what, 56,
She's
57, something like that.
51 or 52. No, she might be.
I
No,
feel
I
the
think
same.
she might be older than me because I'm 54 next week.
I want to say she's like 56 or 57. I don't know. Anyway, she's in her 50s. And my issue with that was he gave her, she was like, why would you tell me that? Because she spent days panicking and stressing about it, only for him to be like, oh, my bad, that's not it. And so I found this lady doctor that was talking about the fact that one, male doctors don't educate themselves on the female body enough.
Right.
Two, we still don't know enough about the human body. We're still learning every single day, and doctors are not the end all be all. So we have to educate ourselves. We have to research. And three, let me throw this out here. We got to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
This actually came up in a previous episode where we were talking about does it get wet and all of this kind of stuff, and is it okay to have sex when you're sleeping? And I know you were saying you're in your 50s, you have no issues, but I was advocating for the women that I know have issues. I know women in their 20s having issues, women in their 30s, 40s having issues, and they feel shamed and judged about it because
But
nobody's
wait,
talking about it.
let me back up though.
Yeah.
When I was in my 20s, I had major issues. I had endometriosis,
Hmm.
but I was diagnosed early and I was able to address some of those things. And that's why I don't have as many issues in my 50s because, but the thing is that we have to be our own advocate.
We
And
do.
that's the thing is like, if that doctor is not saying anything that makes sense to you, find a new one. Find a new one, move on, keep looking for another one. Because my doctor misdiagnosed me for 6 years when I kept telling her I had a thyroid issue, only because the blood test was saying that I didn't. And it wasn't until she dug a little bit deeper because of an x-ray that she realized that I did have a thyroid issue, that
Hmm.
my test was a false positive,
Hmm.
that my thyroid was functioning. My thyroid hadn't functioned for years. And
Mm.
so that's the thing is you have to be your own advocate. You have
Yeah.
to be the one to tell them, look, I know I've been living with this body for X number of years and I know that there's something wrong. And the medical society, piggybacking on what Sure is saying about it being male dominated. But the other thing is that I'm gonna be honest with you, as Black women, we're the ones that are at the highest fatality rates of medical misdiagnosis. And
Absolutely.
that's because they don't listen to us. I was having pain and stuff, and they told me painful periods are part of being a woman. You need to get over
Yeah.
it. And there are men who do their work and their research to try to advocate for women because it was a male gynecologist that diagnosed me with endometriosis. The female gynecologist kept telling me painful periods are part of being a woman. Get over it.
All of that, right? Like I'm a big believer in we have to advocate for ourselves. Hell yes, because we are in danger in the medical system. However, I still go back to we as women have some culpability over this, and we as Black women have some culpability over this. This is also a generational thing. I don't give a damn what nobody say. I'm gonna die on this hill, y'all. This is a generational thing. Because again, grandma had insecurities, mama had insecurities, auntie had. This is historical and this is generational and ancestral. And so we have to combat that by having communication skills now to talk about it. We can't wait until Bessie out there fucking somebody at 12 years old to start talking about sex and periods, because babies are getting their periods at 9, right? Little girls are walking around with hygiene issues because nobody's teaching them how to wash. Little boys are walking around with hygiene issues because nobody's teaching them how to wash, because they're afraid to talk about cookie jars and pocketbooks. What the fuck is a penis and a vagina? And this is also why babies are out there being abused and assaulted without the vernacular or the language to even tell somebody that they're being assaulted or abused, because they out here talking about pocketbooks and cookies, right? And there was an example going around on Facebook where a little girl told somebody her teacher kept trying to eat her cookie, and they thought that she meant a literal cookie. No, he was molesting her and abusing her. But she had not been taught how to tell somebody that he was messing with her vagina. You understand what I'm saying? And y'all can see my whole energy change. I am extremely passionate about this because we as women owe it to one another to fucking heal. Right? We have so many resources available now. We have education available, YouTube, TikTok.
Right.
Listen, I'm not saying, y'all, that that's the end all be all, but it's a place to start, to even start trying to figure out what you may be missing out or what you don't know. And it gives you at least some place to start asking other people questions. Go ask your doctor, right? Go ask your nurse practitioner. Go ask your midwife. Go ask your doula. Go ask your cousin who was out there, you know, doing all the manner of things, because she probably know way more than you know, and she might be helpful, right? But we also have to start talking about this in our friendship circles. We can't be ashamed as women or men. We can't be ashamed to be like, you know what? She a little dry. You know, my pussy, my vagina, my whatever you want to call it, but please use some adult terms so people know what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Not no damn cookie jar.
Got your cookie jar in your pocketbook, right? But hey, I'm dealing with vaginal dryness. Have you experienced it? Do you have some thoughts on it? Have you addressed it? Like, hey, I'm dealing with fibroids. How did you deal with yours? Right? I have these conversations all the time. I ask questions of people like, hey, okay, you just hit a certain age. How you doing? How you feeling? Your body changing. You know, I'm a wellness practitioner. You got questions? You know, I've been dealing with bodies for 20 years. You got questions? Use me as a resource. Because operating in shame, just because we decide to stay in shame, is not cute anymore. And we can't be mad at men for not understanding our bodies when we still don't understand our body. If I talk to a woman and she don't know what the fuck a vulva is, we got issues. Because how you gonna teach him about it and you don't know? How can we expect our male doctors to know and we don't know? You understand what I'm saying? That goes back to sex and intimacy and pleasure. How can we expect our partners, male or female, to learn how to please our bodies when we are afraid to learn how to please our bodies?
And please, if they tell you, if you have had a hysterectomy and an oophorectomy, know what the fuck they took out of you.
Yes. Because I had one.
Don't be running around telling people that, oh, I just don't have my ovaries, or I don't know what is missing out of your body. Because the thing is that affects a lot of different things, depending on what is missing. Like if they tell you you've had a total hysterectomy, please understand what the hell they took out.
And don't wait until the issue is dangerous or exacerbated. Don't wait until you're in menopause to start figuring out how to address menopausal symptoms. Don't wait until you're aging and you're having vaginal dryness or pain to start trying to figure out the different hormonal cycles that your body goes through. Men have a hormonal cycle just like women do, right? And that comes through understanding your changes throughout the month, how your body responds, how your temperature
Right.
changes, how your body feels. Like, we need to stop being so oblivious and paying
And
attention to our
stop
body.
saying it only hurt because he too big. It's not. That's not true.
Mhm. It might hurt. His size could be affecting you, but it also could be you were not relaxed enough. You were not lubricated enough. You didn't feel safe enough. Your body wasn't, you weren't in your body present physically enough, right? You were too much in your head and not your body, right? It could be that he was rushing and didn't give you, the average man don't even know that it takes a woman's body 30 to 45 minutes to relax and
Mhm.
lubricate itself enough. And that doesn't necessarily just start because y'all start kissing and touching. That process
Right.
can start in the morning time by you sending some sexy text messages or kissing her forehead or rubbing her neck or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
So that's why she,
Anticipation goes a
right,
long
that's why
way.
she ready to go when it's time because you already been setting the stage. But if she dry all the time, bruh, it ain't just her. It's you too. You part of the issue. But again, we
Right.
as women have to hold ourselves accountable. And I'm not letting men off the hook. They need to do better too. But I am saying we as women have to take responsibilities for our bodies. I've had some of the most uncomfortable conversations about my body with, whoever my partner is, whoever my person is. But you know what? I'm gonna have that conversation. I know me. I know what feels good, what don't feel good, what I like, what I don't like. And I may be nervous. I may get a little introverted. I'm gonna still talk about it because you need to know in
That
order
part.
to please me, and I need to know in order to please you. Like, we have to be
Mhm.
willing to talk about it. But also, as our bodies naturally age and change, shit happens. And we have to be willing to talk about that too. We got so many young men in their 20s and 30s dealing with erectile dysfunction. It's not an old man's thing anymore.
That part. And yeah, there's that. And the thing is that needs to be addressed as well. Because there's no way
Mhm.
that you should be 20 something and you can't make your shit function.
A lot of times it's diet, lack of exercise, mental health
Right.
issues, stress, lack of
Right.
sleep, chronic other health issues, medication. Like, there's so many
Mhm.
reasons
And
that it
and
could
the
be
and the
happening other than
food
he just don't like her like that. That could be
and
one of them. There's other reasons.
the food, because the
The
food
food, yep,
has so many hormones and stuff and chemicals in it right now to make it grow faster. People are not understanding
yep.
that this food is not healthy. And sometimes you got to pay a little bit more and get organic.
Hmm.
Sometimes you're going to have to pay a little bit more. Stop eating processed foods. If you don't eat in the outer aisles of the store, you're not eating healthy. If you go down those aisles inside the store, those are processed food
Yeah,
aisles.
yeah.
The outer aisles is the most healthy food in the store is in the outer aisles because those are the most unprocessed foods.
Yeah. But also drinking water, drinking fluids,
Yes.
herbal support, whether you're making your own teas, tinctures, growing your garden and pulling veggies and fruits and flowers out of your own garden, whatever that looks like. Each person has to figure it out based on their budget and their access. But
Hmm.
again, and just physical exercise. We can't sit on the sofa all day and be like, I don't feel good. I know you don't feel good. The body is meant
You
to
don't
move.
feel good because you ain't moving.
Right. So again, y'all, we have, again, I'm gonna keep saying it. We as
And,
women
and and if
have
all
to
you
be
drinking
accountable.
is beer and wine and soda, you need to drink you some water because you got to flush some of that shit out. Those are toxins.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sure, you said be mentally prepared. Yes. So I can see other people on here. Hey, Miss Newsy, you said wow, sure. Yeah. Because I think you were referring to this comment where she said it happened to me. My
Yes.
thyroid was acting a fool. 3 doctors did not listen and diagnose myself. Yep. Happens all the time. This is why we have to research. This is why we have to ask each other questions and share our experiences so we know what to be aware of and know what to look for, right?
Hmm.
The next question. How do you swerve into the sex conversations when you're dating someone new? Is there such a thing as too soon? I don't think there's such a thing as too soon, but I think it's
We
based on
grown.
I
I'm
base
54. I'm halfway out this bitch. I mean, come on now. Ain't no such thing as too soon and be too late.
I think it's just based on how quickly you want to move forward with that person.
Right.
It's definitely an intimate conversation, and if you want to slow stroke it and take your time, nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so
But
I'm going to be honest.
if you
Most
want to talk about
women
it on the first
know.
date, nothing wrong with that either.
But most women know right away whether or not they want to give him some.
Oh hell yeah, we know when we first meet a man.
We know right away whether he even gonna get some. So we
If,
need the hey, if we even thinking about him getting some, we
whether
already
it's
know.
the same night or 6 years from now, we already knew what we
We
was gonna do.
already knew. We already knew whether or not we planned on giving any.
Yes, I wholeheartedly
That, and
agree.
that now we may play demure and wait 3 months or whatever, but we knew the first day we met you whether or not your ass was even gonna sniff the draws.
Like ever. But again, if you want to slow stroke it, y'all, I'm a fan of have the conversation you feel ready to have, but be willing to have the conversation. So if you want to slow
Right,
stroke it and take your time, and you just really
right.
want to kind of feel this person out on a few other things first before you introduce sex into the conversation, I say do that. But like if you draw us hot and you just really trying to get some, ain't no problem with asking questions. And I think sex is a huge part of our compatibility in our relationships.
It
So I think
is.
it's truly a thing we need to talk about because
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to get married or move in together or decide they in love and then like what the hell is that? You know what I'm saying? So
Or the fact that you don't have the same
same
appetite.
sex drive, yep. Same sex drive, same appetite, same fantasies, kink,
Right,
desires. We need to
right.
know that we
I mean,
compatible.
because if he I with once or twice a month, we can't even be friends.
Oh my God.
Next,
Next, okay. Y'all tell us what y'all think in the comments. Tell us what you think in the comments.
ghosting and reappearing.
Next
How do you handle
question.
this? Hmm.
You know,
Mm.
that's a hard one for me because I used to be like, man, fuck somebody ghosting. I ain't doing this and that. We either kicking it, we cool, whether it's friendship, relationship, whatever. Like consistency makes sense for me. It matters to me because I'm a pattern
Mhm.
type person. I operate with patterns.
Mhm.
However, as I continue to like, I guess settle in my body and find myself and figure out what I need and who I am, I also realized that I probably ghost people a lot and just didn't realize that that's what I was doing. And it wasn't intentional. Like that's not what I was trying to do or meant to do. But so now I have a much more, I guess I would say a much more forgiving attitude about it based on context. Now your ass can't just disappear for 6 months and be like, hey Jay, we still good. Let's get some in. No, I'm good. What? Go die. But
Mhm.
based on context, because I'm that person that will shut down and be quiet to work through something.
Right.
And then I'll come up for air and be like, okay, I'm still alive. I'm still here. So context matters. Context matters. That's all I can say on the ghosting and reappearing.
I don't know, but at least communicate that you're working through something.
Now I'll do
Because
that.
if
But
you're
for some
not
reason, I never done
communicating that you're working through something and you just go off the grid, stay off the grid.
it. And I'm wishing when you're right. Now I'll do that like, hey, I'm about to be silent. I'll be back. But if I don't go into detail, I had to start understanding that some people still consider that ghosting. Like,
Nah, you ain't gotta go into detail. Just say I'm working through something and I'll be back.
yeah,
Okay. But if you don't say shit,
nothing.
don't
Oh,
come back.
bye.
Don't come
Yeah,
back. Stay
bye.
gone. Stay gone. Wherever you been these last few months, go on back where you was. Cause yeah, nah, you can't come
Like
over here.
just silence for no
Right.
reason.
Just
No.
silence for no reason. No. Don't go silent and then come back because
Yeah.
yeah. No, we don't do that. Okay. What's your next one?
What do you think a soul tie is? This is one
Ooh,
of the ones
that
we
was
brought up
man, that
together
was
last
Miss
week.
Sure. Oh yeah, sure gave us that one last week. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So
I've
you
been
wanna
thinking.
kick it off or you want me to?
I need you
Been
to think. I
thinking.
need you to go ahead. I'm thinking.
I've been
I'm
thinking.
still
I've been
thinking.
thinking. I say that a soul tie, much like a soul similar, not the same, but can be similar to a soul vow or a soul agreement. That's my perspective.
Mm,
Typically, most, not even most, some people say that a soul's agreement is made before we come back here into this body, like before we birth into a human body. I'm coming to earth, I'm coming into this body with the agreement that I'm going to do a certain thing, a contract, if you will. A
Mhm.
vow, once we are here, is like a promise that we agree to, or a vow that we make based on information that we have or lack of information that we have. So you can make a poverty vow. You can make a vow to wealth. You can make a vow to never really know what love is because you're afraid of love. You can make a vow about anything, right? And I think
Mhm.
a soul tie is kind of woven in between those things because it is the thing that connects us to people, places, or things, on a cellular level, on a ethereal or energetic level. You know,
Right.
a lot of people believe in uh, twin flames, soulmates. I believe in soulmates, but I don't think they're limited to romantic partners. My first soulmate in this body was my grandmother. She was like my mirror, you know. Um, so I think soulmates can be very powerful and love us in different ways, platonic and romantic, family, friend, etc. But soul ties, most people talk about them in the negative. I think they can be very positive. We can tie ourselves to people in ways that are dynamic and potent to help us get things accomplished, or we can tie ourselves to people in pain and trauma. And most people focus
Mm.
on soul ties through a lens of pain and trauma. Oh, I couldn't let him go. We got a soul tie. The dick was too good. Or I couldn't let her go. She just put it on me. I don't know why I couldn't let them go. I don't know why I could. And those things may be true, but we can also break them. They can be broken through awareness and fucking
Mm.
accountability. And
Right.
sometimes it's deeper than others, and sometimes it may take a little bit more work than others. And that is sometimes the reason why we will go back into a thing with somebody over and over and over again and struggle to let them go. But again, with awareness and accountability, we can break a soul tie.
Sometimes we're addicted to the drama and the trauma.
Trauma bond. Yes. We're
Yes,
addicted to the
but
chaos. We're addicted to the
yeah,
mess.
addicted to the chaos. But so for me, I believe that we are so we are souls allowed to have a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes those bonds are created before we even enter this life. Have you ever like met somebody and thought you met them before, but you know you didn't meet them before, but you
All
know
the
you
time.
met them before? Those kind of things. That's I believe those are soul ties that are created in the spiritual realm before we actually get here. And I also believe in past lives because sometimes I believe if we don't learn the lesson, we are allowed to come back again to try to repeat the class.
I
And
agree with that.
so those ties may have been made in other lives.
I'm gonna throw this out there too for people that may be open to it. One of the, like I said, I believe that soulmates is so much deeper than just my man or my girl. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, and again, I look at soulmates differently in the spiritual sense as well, because what I understand with spirit is that we are born into soul groups, and then from those groups, the larger energetic imprint, we become individual
Soul
spirits.
circles.
So you could call them soul soakers, yes.
Mhm.
And so I believe there are certain people, that's why we meet them. And it's like, dang, I feel like I've known them all my life, or dang, we must have had multiple lifetimes together, whatever. Because we come across them, we're magnets. We're going to draw to each other no matter where we are in life, no matter what culture, no matter what position or station. We're going to draw to each other like magnets, life after life after life, or whatever it is that you believe in. So I think that's in part why we meet some people, certain people, where there's such a deeper level of familiarity or connection or chemistry, whether it is a romantic person or whether it is a family member or platonic friendship or whatever that case may be. We are meant to engage. There's something that happens, kind of like that movie with this is one of the reasons I love that movie Hancock with Will Smith and
Oh
Charlize
yeah.
Theron.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
believe it's something very similar to that. And some of us, we're gonna have to keep our distance because we're too potent together if we can't control it. And then
Right.
others, we do better when we're together, when we're in close
Hmm.
proximity, right?
Hmm.
um I think there's a lot of truth and depth to that particular storyline in that movie.
Right.
And so soul ties again can be something very positive, or most people, from a religious standpoint, look at them as something negative. But
Mhm.
Again, with information, with accountability, with awareness, we can address it if it's a negative thing, and we can heal it and let it go.
Mhm. Welcome, Dana. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Let's
All right,
see.
what's your next
Hey,
question?
Dana. Hold on, let me get back over here. Ha! What do you think a demon is?
Woo! Wow. Okay. Mm.
Do
I don't.
tell.
I don't know. I. Mm. I don't. I really like that one. Is a hard one because, again, I believe that in the spirit realm that we all started out as angels at one time or another. Like we all started out, but sometimes the demon is a fallen one. Like maybe they've our grandmas used to say, got too big for their britches, kind of kind of thought that they were more supreme than they were, if that makes
Mm,
sense. And so it could be possible that they were bigger than their wings should have been, you know,
mm.
kind
So,
of. They
if I'm
really,
understanding, you think of them as more negative?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, negative. I think a demon is more negative. I think a demon um, usually has negative connotations and the
Mm,
negative traits that we think about when we're thinking about like egotism and uh, those that are power hungry and things like that. Because a lot of times a demon doesn't care about what they think that the world revolves around them. They're more
mm,
self-centered than they are um, centered on the greater good of all, if that makes sense.
sure. Sure.
Mhm.
What are you saying? You said that is a Southern saying. Which
Oh,
what?
when I said too big for their britches.
Oh, ha, yeah. Um. So I'm gonna just say I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. So I grew up thinking
What?
demons were like demonic, evil,
Mhm.
malevolent, from the Christian perspective, and that's what I'd always heard. But as I've done my own research, as I ask questions, as I engage with other people, as I meditate, most of what I believe comes directly from whatever spirit says to me, and then I check it out and have dialogue and discussion with other people, and I research to figure out where I sit with it. I don't think that demons are necessarily bad. I don't think that all angels are necessarily good. I
Mhm.
think that just much like we as humans in this body, in this spectrum of the human experience, I think that spiritual beings can operate in whatever capacity they see fit, or for whatever purpose they have been brought into existence, just like we as humans, right? And so I think that demons are likely another one of those things that most people misunderstood, or one person said something and everybody took it and ran with it and just lumped a whole category of something into one way of being. And so uh I know Lucifer, Satan,
Mhm.
uh, is typically, the one that's considered to be the devil.
But he's a fallen angel.
So that's what the Bible says, right?
Right.
How do I know that's what happened?
Right.
And I'm not saying it didn't, because I wasn't there. So I look at the Bible
Right.
much like I look at anything else. I read it, I study it when I do, like anything else. But I always go back to spirit and ask, what do I take from this? How do I use this to help me navigate this human life? What I look at the Bible and recognize is, and I've stood on this for probably the last 15 years when I first started segueing out of ministry. That's a book that another man wrote. And just like people write stuff nowadays and it's fallible and it's lies and it's hearsay and it's personal perspective, I don't know that the Bible is or isn't that. Now, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be used, but I think that it's simply a tool like anything else to help you figure out where you are with God and to implement it in whatever way makes sense to you. So the Bible says that he was a fallen angel. How do I know that? Because the Bible
Holy
also
Spirit
said,
tell you.
we'll get, so it's almost time for us to end, but I am willing to have that dialogue. If y'all want to talk about that next episode, let me know, and I am willing to have that dialogue. But for now, I will say, I don't think, I don't believe that that is the full story, if it's even true. I don't believe that's the full story. And here's part of why I say that. So you really mean to tell me that God created everything and then created an enemy for himself just so he could fight with him? Because was
He
he
didn't
bored?
create an enemy for himself. What? No, no. Actually, when you read the word, it actually says that he actually was one of God's most powerful angels.
I
And
know
what
what he
happened?
was.
He basically got too big for his britches,
I know what he
and
was.
he
But what
decided
I'm
that.
saying
But
is God
he
made
was
him.
the minister of music too.
I understand that. But God, if we're going through the biblical
Right.
perspective that most people
Right.
stand on, that there's one God, you are gonna tell me that God created this being that he knew eventually would turn on him to become an enemy. Why? Just so he could have an enemy? What
Free
purpose would,
will.
I
No.
understand
Free
that, but,
will.
but let me finish. What, number one, what purpose would that serve? Number two, why would you set yourself up to fail if you're all knowing, all seeing God? Number three, you're God. You ain't got shit else to do but be bored enough to want to sit here and fight with one of your kids all day long. I don't buy that. And if we really go back to the Bible, let's go back to the simplest of the most simplest. Most
Okay.
people that read the Bible and stand on the word say that God is the only God. But the Bible literally says they. No, we're not talking about the Trinity. We ain't talking about God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. We're going back to Genesis before Jesus ever came on the scene. And the Bible says we.
We.
The Bible
Right.
speaks of God. The Bible refers to them, right?
It's
We, they,
we.
whichever word you want to put on it.
We.
But
And it's in.
plural,
It's plural.
plural.
It's
So what
plural.
I'm saying is right
Because in the
there we got
beginning
issues.
was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So he was always a Trinity.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
But
Okay,
okay.
so we're gonna go back into this next week because I don't want to rush
Yes, we
anything.
will.
We'll go back into this next week, and I'm gonna go back and pull the scripture because that's
Yes,
not
we
the one I'm
will.
referencing, and and I don't want to quote it wrong because I used to know the Bible backwards and forwards, like literally, and it's just been so long since I studied it like that. I don't want to quote the wrong scripture,
And
but
said, "Let us make man in our
that's one
own
of them.
image." Let
That's
us.
one of them.
Right.
So my whole point being, thank you for that. My whole point being, and I don't want to quote the wrong scriptural reference or number, so we'll go back and find it for you all. But my point being, right there, we got issues because now we at odds. You're saying let us, plural, we, a group of us, but now you also want me to expect that there's one God. I'm not
He was
buying it.
always a Trinity.
Oh, I'm not talking about a Trinity. And that's my point. I'm not talking. I'm not talking about Jesus. I'm not talking about the Holy Spirit. I'm not talking about a Trinity. I am saying that the Bible clearly shows us that there is more to God than just one way of seeing
Right.
Him.
He's never been one dimensional. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. When I say he's a Trinity, he's never been one dimensional.
And I'm not even okay. So let me give this example. One of the reasons that
Okay.
I went on the journey that I am now on, back in college, my best friend at the time and I, we took a world religion class. And one of the things we had to do was visit another religious service outside of our own. We were both Christian at the
Okay.
time, and I was in ministry.
Hmm.
And matter of fact, at the time, I think I was in theological seminary. We actually visited the Hindu temple in Atlanta. Beautiful temple. If y'all ever get a
Hmm.
chance to
Oh
go, right
yeah.
there in Riverdale, Georgia, off of Highway 85. Beautiful temple.
Absolutely
But
gorgeous.
we went there and visited them and wrote our papers for that class on that experience. And when we went, I forget the name, so y'all bear with me, but their version of what we would call a minister pastor, they went and told him we were there. We had questions. He took us into their open space and I mean, spent almost an hour just answering our questions. And the way he broke it down to me was so potent. And he said Christianity and Hinduism really operate on the same principle. We both believe in God, but where you all call God by a various name and you think he's one being, We call God by various names because he's multiple beings. He's all beings. He's everything. And he presents as needed based on the circumstance or the situation. He, she, it, they, them, whatever. And that's one of the ways that I look at God. God is not a man. I know we all like to say God is not a man that he should lie. No, but God literally is not a man,
He's
right?
not.
God is not in this. God is a spirit. We are all
He's a
literally God.
spiritual
We are
being.
all spirit. We are all everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? We are all the same framework and DNA pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that being said, I don't think, and then I'm gonna close this out because we've been up here an hour and 40 minutes. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that the devil, Satan, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him, was just truly demonic in that one
Right.
dimensional way because he got too big for his britches, because he wanted
Mm-hmm.
more power. I think it is simply the expression of the fullness of spirit, and it's neither necessarily all good or all evil. We
Correct.
all have some good in us, and we all have some evil in the right circumstances in
Absolutely.
us. So that's why
Absolutely.
I don't think that demons are limited to that one-dimensional framework, to
Right.
use your word, to say that they're
Mm-hmm.
just evil and bad. No,
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case, angels ain't all good either. There's a
Absolutely.
spectrum. There's a spectrum.
Absolutely.
If y'all
Absolutely.
want to talk about this more, keep commenting and letting us know. Even we're about to end the live, but keep going into the comments and letting us know. And we can always continue to dig into this because y'all know
Yes.
I don't shy away from it. We can
I
talk about
don't
it.
shy away from it either. So thank you all for
Talk
coming
about it.
tonight. Thank
Yeah.
you for being part of the conversation tonight. We appreciate you. We always appreciate our people coming in and sipping with us, and both as we sip on our libations and as we sip on different conversations, because the thing is that that's how we learn and how we grow. We thank you all. We will see you next Tuesday
Before
for
I let
another
go.
conversation,
Boy,
another
no.
great conversation. We
Yeah.
thank you. We thank you. We thank you. And until next time.
Well, I'm just gonna say this before I let y'all go. Make sure that you're liking, commenting, and sharing because your efforts really truly help us to keep growing this conversation, to
Yes.
keep to keep sharing not only our truth but giving voice to different truths so that somebody somewhere who needs to hear it can, to know that they're
Mhm.
not alone. So if you
Yes.
have questions, send them to us. The information on how to submit your questions is on every video. You can email
Yes.
them to us. You can fill out the form. If you want to get in the hot, that dog is like, listen, y'all gonna talk to me. Um,
Right.
it's okay, girl, because mine hollering downstairs. Lastly, I
Oh,
will say if you want to get in the hot seat with us, guys, make sure you fill out the form and send us your details because we want to have you up here in the hot seat with us. Come on up, talk your
yes.
shit and drink your drink and get live and lit with us. Okay. Mwah. Love y'all. Love you, boo.
Love y'all. Till next time.
Bye.